Fucci of Fucci's Photos, and I've got Leslie D'Angelo of Val's here with me today, and she's going to help us see what it takes to really get into a bunch of different wedding dresses and different styles, and how much time it actually takes to get into them. Thank you so much for helping us with this.
Sure, Vail. It's almost imperative that a bride figure out a way to step into her dress after her hair and makeup is done.
Okay.
Otherwise, you really risk the chance of something catching, pulling the hair out, or even more concerning is that the makeup would get on the front of the dress. So just a zip up with some decorative buttons. This is probably the easiest one. Olivia stepped right into it. We just attach the little band. Sometimes there's a band, sometimes people wear a corset, so you would attach that first, obviously.
Okay.
If there's a hook and eye at the top, you'll want to do that first.
Okay, first do the hook and eye at the
First
top.
do the hook and eye.
All right.
Then slowly zip.
Perfect. And so that keeps you from getting the skin or anything like that trapped in
Exactly.
there. And Leslie, I noticed these pieces here. This is something we see on a lot of dresses. What would you do with this?
Yeah, these are the lingerie straps. These are just simply there to when the gown is hanging at the seamstresses or in your closet. The day of the wedding, I would snip them out. And if you want to hang the dress back up later, you could sew them back in or even safety pin them in. But they're a real bother on the day of the wedding. You don't want them peeking out. I would just cut them.
And then what about all the other little hook and eyes there? Is that a simple thing, or how does one do
Yes. This you would just your hand down in and bring it over.
that? Bring it over.
Right.
Okay, so you're pulling the fabric over
Right.
with the loop.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, we can see that that took well under a minute just to get into that dress.
Yes.
So that's a good time saver there. All right, so now Leslie's going to show us a different type of closure here. Would you tell us a little bit about this type of back?
Sure, Vail. This one is probably the most common you're going to find, which is a zipper and then real buttons with loops, not just decorative. And you'll want to take note as to what kind of loops you have. Sometimes if they're too elasticized, it seems like it might be easier, but actually that stretch can sometimes cause more problems. You want a loop that fits just nicely in. But if you don't have it, I mean, it's workable. It's just a little more difficult. And then sometimes also, one loop might affect another if the way the designer stitched them to be,
Like it's interconnected?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So if I pull this one too hard, then this one gets smaller, and then you're in trouble.
Ooh.
So then you have to go back and stretch that one out.
Okay.
These are all independent of each other.
Great. So will you show us a little bit of the proper way to actually do this? How would you start? So we start with the train kind of back towards the back there, right, Leslie?
Yeah. You kind of throw the train behind, because if it's this way, she's got a longer way to go to get her feet on the ground.
Ah, okay.
So put the train behind, so now it's just here, just the front of the dress.
Great.
Okay.
And the optimal undergarments are not jean shorts for the day of your wedding, but if you so chose to do so,
I would
that's all
start
right.
again with the top hook and eye to begin.
Do you find it's good for brides to kind of breathe in and kind of take and suck in, or is it better for them to just, just relax there?
I say just relax. I know
Okay.
sometimes our seamstress, once they are fully in the dress, she'll have them lean forward just to lift their breasts into position.
Oh, okay. That's a helpful tip.
Yeah.
Makes it sit just right.
Yeah. So we will start to zipper, and we won't go up all the way. We will put our hand down, and that gives us some secure feeling when we're using the other hand to put the loop over. And that little thumb there can help us.
Wow, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you zip it all the way, you have nothing to put back behind there.
Exactly.
Oh, that makes a
These are the
big
secrets.
difference.
Yep. So here now we're at the zipper, the button. We need to bring it up again so we can access that button.
Okay.
Bring it right over the button using your two little thumbs.
Now, what happens if you miss a button?
Well, I did. And
Yeah.
there you go. Let's see how it works. I can still get my hand down there. I think if I came all the way up and I was zipped and I missed a button, I would try to do it, and if not, unfortunately, I think you're going to have to go back.
Really? Okay.
But you can see, once they're all kind of coming,
But it's pretty important to make sure you really do each one in order.
yes.
That's going to be the most efficient way to do things.
So this one's taking longer, as you can see, versus the last one we did.
Definitely. I see a big difference in the amount of time. But it also helps you know what you're doing. So if it's the day of, you could figure that unless you practice in advance, which is probably a really good idea to have the person do that, it may actually take you an even longer time, because Leslie's an expert. She's the owner of the store.
Right.
And it's not so easy.
And really, your seamstress should give you a little lesson. I know when our brides go to Anahit, you know, she teaches whoever is going to be helping to dress the bride how to bustle and do the buttons.
Okay. So you'd suggest that people have the person actually come along with them to one of those fittings?
Absolutely,
to
the
see
last
that.
fitting, yep.
So one thing that sometimes people will use is a crochet hook. Have you seen people do that as well? I know I've experienced that.
I have not. I asked my seamstress about it, and she said it is more difficult sometimes to use the hook versus your fingers if you go this route with the zipping first and then using the fingers to close it.
So definitely try this first and try it in advance.
Right. I mean, it
if
doesn't
you have
hurt.
a lot of problems with it, and if you see it in advance, one thing you can try is possibly bringing in a crochet hook and
Yes.
bringing that over. If, say, you have some problems with arthritis in your hands or things like that, that would be helpful.
Now, I'm getting close to the top, so now I'm going to unhook
Oh, okay.
because otherwise I can't get in here.
Here, gotcha. Now, if the dress is a little bit tighter or on the bride, is this a more difficult process?
It will be a little more difficult, but you should still be able to get your hand back here.
Okay. And then do you do the last hook, you do the hook and eye finally after you do that
Yes.
last? Great. Well, we can see how that is a more time-consuming process than the simple zipper. So Leslie is going to show us how, specifically with the corset dresses, when they come out of the bag, and the day of you'll have had it nicely pressed and everything by your seamstress, normally they'll do you the favor of kind of starting it up out here. She's probably gotten it nice and even for you, and even it may be tighter than this for all we know, but in that case you'd loosen it a bit.
Right, to
But-
step into it, this needs to be very loose, probably a little bit looser than this.
Okay, can you show us a bit the way that you did that then?
Yep.
So what Leslie's doing here, you're bringing up some more of the ribbon from the bottom portion there,
Yep.
right? And just keeps bringing it out to the sides.
Right.
Great.
That looks good.
All right. So that way you can easily step in to the dress from there. And that's pretty much it at that point. And so make sure that you've kept it, at least that first bit there. Now what if you find that you can't still step into it even when you've got it pulled out pretty far? What would you do, Leslie?
I try to do it a little bit more. If it's still not enough, take it out and just start again, and just make sure what you said, Vail, that the piece goes through evenly, so they start with the ends like this. So we have this little panel in the back. A lot of the corset gowns do come with this. It just gives you a little bit more, you know, makes it look a little more modest versus seeing the skin right through. If yours doesn't have it, that's okay. You just tie up your corset. If it does have it, you want to snap that first. And then what you do is you just start from the top tying together.
So we're going to make sure that we bring this up to the point that we want it, because if you don't do that at first, you may find that you've just strapped yourself perfectly into your dress, but now you've got it either way too high or way too low on you. So
Yes.
what would you do to
So
make that best here, Leslie?
The secret that our seamstress has taught us is to have the bride lean forward, further, 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 and then lift her bust right into
Into the cups of
Into
the
the
dress,
cup of the
basically.
dress.
Okay,
Okay, Libby?
perfect. All
And
right.
that should be the point where you want to fit to.
Just wonderful. And so from there, it'd be really hard if you were doing that just on your own, though, and keeping it at the right point, right?
Yes.
So it's probably best that you'll have a friend, either your maid of honor or just somebody who's helping you there, or your mom, going to hold it right there in place for the other person who's doing
Yeah.
the lacing. So right now, I'm going to be your
more
your
of a
lacing
two-person
friend.
job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As you're going through, Leslie, are you straightening the ribbon at all, or are you not worrying it first? Do you do that afterwards for the appearance of it?
That's a good point, Vail. You will want to make sure that ribbon's straight. So I am just literally making sure the ribbon is flat as it goes through.
So not after, you do it right at the
While
beginning.
you're doing it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if you wait till the end, you're going to be in trouble.
That's a really good thing to know. Because I can tell you, if it's all twisted up, it's not going to make for that beautiful corseted back that you pictured in your head. It's just going to be a kind of a big old mess and look more like shoelaces than pretty satin. You know? You would want to bring it so that generally it's going to be tight enough that you're not concerned it's falling down. But at the same time, you want to be able to actually breathe, and you want to make sure that there is no bunching of your skin in the back here, or as some of Leslie's brides have called it. What did they call it, Leslie?
Back cleavage.
Yes, so we want our cleavage and décolletage looking lovely in the front. Not so much do we want cleavage in the back. And one thing that Leslie's doing here is she's really using we'll show you here, the pieces are kind of a little bit squared off there, and so when she's going through, she's not going just straight through it. She's using the edge here, or even kind of folding it, making it almost like a needle going through.
Yeah, right, that's true.
Going through, are you going under the loop here, or you're going over as you go through? I just noticed this.
I'm going under.
You're going under.
But it should be wider at the top and then coming down to a point.
Oh, okay. That was something I had no idea about. That's really important to know. I'm learning as I go along. And again, just figure, we have Leslie here who is quite an expert, and you can see how long this process takes. So just imagine how long it would take for you to do. So again, practice makes perfect, and multiply times 3 how long this is taking to do for you.
Yeah.
Another nice thing is that the bride is you'll notice, is not moving, or our sample bride to be is not moving around right now too much. She's standing nice and still for us. She's standing up straight. She's not rounding her spine or anything like that. You don't necessarily have to do like they did in the old movies where they showed getting into a corset and hanging onto a bedpost or anything like that. But one thing you could be doing to pass the time right now is if one of your bridesmaids was very nice, you could have a bottle of water with a straw in it that you could easily make sure that you're staying hydrated. But the importance of that with the straw is that it's making sure that you're not really ruining your lipstick. And by having it in the bottle like that, you're less likely that if anybody bumps into you, it's not going to go on your dress. But water, if it did, probably is far better than if you're drinking anything else that day that might get on your dress.
We're at the point where we're going to tie Vail.
Okay.
So what I do is, just like simply tying a shoelace, I go in just one time and I pull.
So no, you're not doing a second knot here.
Not a second knot, nope.
Okay. She might be stuck in there forever if you did that.
Yes, it would be hard to get out. And then I tie the bow.
And no special way, just like you tie your own shoelaces,
Yeah.
right?
And you can choose any size bow you want. Some people like this larger bow, just hanging, free flow look.
Uh-huh.
Other people actually ask the seamstress if she can add a little snap here on the dress so the bow can lay flat.
Oh, that's very smart.
So it looks something like this when it's finished.
And then what do you do with these string pieces? Do you have something go behind it, or do you just kind of let it go?
I think that looks a little unfinished when this one is forward, so I generally will put it behind.
Oh, that looks much nicer.
Yeah.
Great. And I think it'll lay a lot flatter, so when you're sitting, you're not sitting on a great big lump of bow.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Leslie.
You're welcome, Vail. The last thing to go on should be your shoes. Ideally, the veil should be last as well, one of the last things, but sometimes if your hairdresser is doing your makeup and your hair, they will spray in the veil, and that might be before you put your dress on, and that's going to be okay as long as you're stepping into your dress.
Okay. So again, stepping into your dress is really important.
Yes.
Great. And as far as somebody putting on your shoes, the key thing to remember is you have lots of people there to help you that day. You have all your different bridesmaids and stuff, so you should take advantage of that and let them help you put your shoes on. You don't need to feel bad for having them do that. It's more likely that you're going to, if you fall over, you don't want to rip your dress or anything like that. They can easily just push it up the little bottom of the dress and put on the shoes.
Yes, that's good advice, Vail.